What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emerson, for those of you who are new here. And today I'm going to be talking about UW-Madison. I'm going to get into a Madison shirt, not a Harvard. Okay, UW-Madison. I'm going into my junior year here. I'm majoring in political science and economics. I'm getting a certificate in educational services. UW-Madison calls minor certificates. So I'm going to answer really basic questions, I guess, that I commonly get from people, whether it be like in my hometown, but I also work for the university, so these are common questions that I get. So first of all is admissions. I always get, am I going to get in with X score doing X amount of activities? And usually if I know the person and I know the high school that they go to, I can usually give them like kind of a good idea. So how UW-Madison does this is they compare you to your high school and what your high school offers. So my high school didn't offer a lot of AP classes, but I took the ones that they did offer. And so they took that into account. My high school had a harder GPA scale than most high schools. So if you had a lower GPA, it really didn't matter as much because they took that into account. With that being said, I do get asked my stats. So my stats were 32 and a 3.989, but that is by no means like the only scores or like the minimum at all. I know people with like a 3.67 that got in, like a 25. I'd say most of my friends got in with somewhere between like a 27, 28 range. So it all really depends on the person, your high school, and what you did. They like to see you advancing upwards in your extracurriculars. So instead of trying a little bit of everything and continuously trying a little bit of everything, they understand you trying a little bit of everything, like your first 2 years or so, dipping your feet in the water, but then they expect you to be advancing to leadership roles, whether that be in service or clubs or jobs, etc. So they really do like seeing you advance in opportunities that you are offered. Another thing of your application is your essay. So essays are read 2 times by 2 separate people, and they do take those into account. They really do look at all different parts of your application. It's not simply your ACT or your GPA. GPA, academic excellence, is heavily emphasized, but it is all relative. Yeah. Another thing is about cost. So if you're a Wisconsin resident, I would check out, I'm going to put links in the description for Bucky's Tuition Promise. It's a promise to Wisconsin residents that for if your household income is below a certain amount, they will pay for 8 consecutive semesters of tuition, which is incredible, and I'm so thankful that UW-Madison put this in place. I'm kind of mad that they put it in place after I started school because it's not a grandfather program, so that stinks, but it's really great for them to be encouraging Wisconsin residents to stay in Wisconsin and go to school at such a great university. Another thing, yeah, so they have Bucky's Tuition Promise. Financial aid here is great. For those who don't know, if your family's financial situation has changed, you can do a FAFSA Recheck, which basically says that you need to say, my financial situation has changed since this tax return. Can we look again at what I'm offered? They're great. The system is so efficient, and I can say this in comparison to another school. Another UW school, UW-Madison, just does a great job at making sure that this school is affordable. Furthermore, the school doesn't cost as much as it says on the estimated cost. So UW-Madison doesn't require you to live in the dorms your second year like how many schools do. The transportation cost is way lower than what they list. I think they listed at $800. But if you're not going home a lot, it's definitely not $800. The books fees, I usually pay less for books than what it says. Rent and board, very much lower than what it says. It's very comparable to other UW schools, I would say. So affording it, I think, if you are worried about affording college, file your FAFSA as early as you possibly can. Like I did mine at midnight, October 1st. So just file it as soon as you can. Do a FAFSA recheck. Yeah. Another thing that I commonly get asked about is drinking and friends, and UW-Madison is known to be a drinking school. I didn't drink my freshman year. I was on a medicine and that I couldn't drink on. I really wasn't myself my freshman year. It's not that like, oh, being myself is like drinking, but like I really isolated myself freshman year. I'll touch on my freshman year experience in another video because I think it's really important, because it was a big transition for me that I didn't handle well. Not that I didn't handle well, but I didn't take it in well, and I wasn't myself freshman year, so I'll touch on that in another video on how I'm like doing now and how I came to actually like UW-Madison. But then again, friends, my number one rule for making friends on this campus is getting involved. So a lot of students who come here come from smaller schools. And in smaller schools, like how I went to, you don't have to try to make friends. You're friends with those people around you. This is what living in the dorms is great for. Dorms are great for making friends because you're all going through the same things at the same time. You're all experiencing the same changes at the same time, same feelings, and they're just a great way to make friends. I didn't live in the dorms, so that's probably one of my main points. But yeah. So there's two dorm neighborhoods in UW-Madison. There's Southeast and there's Lakeshore. Lakeshore has more buildings, same amount of people. Southeast has less buildings, same amount of people. So you get more compact, more spread out. Dense, less dense. So obviously there's different dynamics that come with living directly in the city and directly in like a more naturey part of campus. So whatever you feel fits you best, definitely go for. A nice middle ground between the two, I would say, for people, okay, so if you have like the ambivert spectrum, and this is extrovert and this is introvert. So for those who lean extrovert a little bit, but definitely not like extrovert with like going into celery or witty, I would say that Chadbourne is the best option for you. For those who are on the introvert spectrum but kind of not as far, I would say Liz Waters is a great place for you. There's tons of other residence halls, so many personalities that go into each resident hall. If I'll just like list some stereotypes, it's like celery and witty is like the partiers, the drinkers, the extroverts, doing something all the time, biz kids. There's a big stigma around biz kids here. That type of personality. People who live in Lakeshore, so like say like Crontage, definitely quieter, more reserved. Hiking. What I did this year to like help me make friends is I really got involved in different clubs. So I am in PSSA, which is a political science club, and WSUM Student Radio, which is a student radio where I host my own radio show. So I've made plenty of friends that way. Making friends is hard. You have to put yourself out there, especially for someone who has never had a hard time making friends. Always have had a friend to lean on, like just easily kind of make friends. I wasn't putting myself out there, so you have to try. I also got a job that's directly on campus, so I have both a job that's off campus in my apartment building and on campus with only college students, and I think that the only college student job is a really, really great experience to have. If you have work study, I recommend going with a work study job. Not only do they tend to be more lenient, but you also are working with kids that are directly your age, so, and only college students, so it's a really great like bond that you make, like, yeah, so it's a really great community, and you hang out all the time, you just make really good friends that way. So how UW-Madison does roommates is that you both it's like any other university. You find a roommate on Facebook. The university will add you, once you're accepted, they'll add you to this Facebook group of your class of freshmen Facebook group. People post pictures of themselves, a little bio. It's kind of like Tinder for roommates, really. And then you talk to people, you pick a roommate, you both write each other's names down. And the university's pretty good about getting people with their direct roommate in terms of getting the dorm that you want. So the dorm is a little bit more difficult to get what you want. Not everyone is paired with their first choice, so what they do is it's all randomized, and so say there's a class of 5,000, they mix up the 5,000 people randomly, pick one, that person gets their first choice, pick another, that person gets their first choice, until each residence hall is full. Learning communities are small floors that are specific to certain learning styles or programs. So learning communities, I know that there's one called Bradley, and it's like environmental. There's a woman in science and engineering learning community. There's a multicultural learning community. There's different learning communities that cater to different interests. And yeah, I think the learning community program is really, really great. If you live in a learning community, I've heard that there's an advantage. Another thing that we have is FIGs, which is a first year interest group. So those are specific classes that you have to take to complete your FIG. So I would say it's kind of like another minor in a sense. There's all different types of FIGs. You sign up for it and you pick classes, and you have those classes with the same couple people for your first year. So you make, it's a great way of making friends with people with a common interest of you, which is another benefit of the learning community, is like you live with the people who have same interests as you. Yeah, and then with the FIGs is that you have classes with the people with the same people with the same interests of you, and it's a more holistic class schedule of the topic. So I know that there's a genocide and World War II one. There's just so many different FIGs. I know that there's like a women's health one. There's so many different FIGs to cater to different interests. One thing about picking classes at UW-Madison is that it goes by credits. So those who have the most credits gets to pick classes first. So therefore seniors, juniors, sophomore, freshmen. It's generally not terribly hard to get the classes you want. You do kind of have to change your schedule around, talk to your admissions or your academic advisor about getting the classes that you want. I know that I went and talked to my counselor, and I said, hey, I want to take Poli-Sci 408 with Kenneth Mayer, and it's full already. And she said, okay, tell me what section you want, and I'll get you a code so you can get into it. So forming those bonds helps you. They want to help you, but they don't want to help you if you're just asking them for favors. I'm particularly close with my academic advisor. I've gone to her several times for advising, so just doing that is really important. Getting to know the staff on campus is incredibly important. I'm really, really close with a couple of professors. I am actually writing a recommendation letter for one of my professors right now for a new job that she's applying for. Yeah, the staff here is great. They really care about you. They want you to do your best, so it's really great. And in terms of academic excellence, I think I'm going to touch on this in my next video, but I have a 3.989, and I didn't take care of myself while I was getting it, so I'm trying to be more relaxed with myself, but I'm going to explain that in the next video. Academic rigor is important here. People like to work hard. They also like to play hard. I didn't play hard at all my freshman year, so that helped with keeping that up, but in the long run I think that I'm going to be better if I keep a more healthy balance, and I'm going to talk about keeping a healthy balance in the next video, but yeah, I think that hits a lot of the main points about questions on campus. If you have questions specifically about campus, about dining halls, I know that there's a meal plan now. That wasn't there when I was here, or like first coming here, so that's kind of weird. But I better head out to go get some ice cream, so at Daily Scoop, heck yeah.
Why'd you let your hair down? Is it cold outside, girl? I feel it in the air now. There's something between us and I